If you are new to sales in 2025, or even if you're not, this is what will work to get you your first or your next high paying remote sales role this year. In this video, I'm going to cover the 4 things that if you do them, you are guaranteed to succeed in landing your next high ticket sales role. So those 4 things are going to be volume and follow up, customization and effort, framing your experience, and the offer fit. So I'm going to cover these 4 things, but firstly, who is this video actually for? This video is for people who want to get into high ticket sales or are already in it and therefore understand the space. If you have no idea what I'm talking about when I say high ticket sales, it's a small niche of sales that's online and remote. Go and do some research on it, understand the space a little bit more, because if you don't, this video might not make that much sense to you. And also, this is for people who are ready to actually put in the work, right? If you're not willing to do any work and you're lazy, firstly, this space isn't going to be for you. You won't succeed if you're a lazy individual. And if you somehow believe you're not lazy, but you're not willing to put in the work, then I got news for you. You're lazy. Okay. So just keep that in mind. That's what this video is for. So hopefully that is you. And if so, this is why you should listen to me. Let me actually pull this up. Here's a bunch of screenshots of people shouting me out. This is actually AI of me cooking in the kitchen, but those screenshots of people shouting me out for helping them land jobs, land interviews, succeed in this high ticket sales space. So I know what I'm talking about. I've helped hundreds, if not thousands of people land roles in this space and succeed in this space, make $5, $10, $15, $20,000 a month in this space. So that's who I am. That's why you should listen to me. And let's get into these 4 things. So the first thing and the most important thing in my mind is the volume and your follow up on that volume. So what I mean by this is volume of applications, right? When you're trying to land a job, if you just do a couple of applications here and a couple of applications there, you can't expect to succeed. You can't expect to land a job. But if you go hard, you go crazy on volume, I can almost guarantee you, even if your applications suck, your interview skills suck, your Loom videos suck, you still will probably get a couple of places offering you a position to come and work with them. It's just the reality of volume. So a quick kind of like analogy or story to explain this is, and I think I've seen this from Alex Hormozi, maybe somewhere else, but essentially a study they did or something where they had 2 different classes, right? 2 different groups that were making like clay pots, right? Doing pottery. One group they told just make as many pots as possible, right? It doesn't matter if they suck, if they're great, if they're big or they're small, whatever, make as many as you can. And they told another group, your job is to make the perfect pot, right? You need to make the perfect pot and present it at the end. What ended up happening was the group who did the volume, the group who made all of the pots, as many as they possibly could, ended up having the better pots simply because they did the volume, right? Whereas the people who tried so hard to perfect it and make the perfect pot and make the best pot, because that was their one goal, they didn't iterate, they didn't improve, they didn't make all of the mistakes that they could be making to improve, and therefore they didn't. Right? They didn't improve. They didn't get better. Like, I'm sure they did, but like not as much as the people who did the volume, right? So a number that I want you to look at and understand here would be doing 100 decent applications versus 10 great applications, right? Let's say you do 10 great applications. Likely you're going to have maybe 5 or 6 businesses reach out to you for an interview, right? Let's say of those 5 or 6, you get to, for 50% of them, you get to the second round interview, right? Which means, two or 3, you go to a second round interview. Then you're left with maybe 1, maybe 2 that give you an offer to actually come and work with them, right? So you got 1 or 2 offers on the table if you do 10 great applications. Versus if you do 100 decent applications, right? I'm not saying lackluster and low effort and crap, but 100 decent applications. Let's say that 25% of them want you to interview, right? So that means you've got 25 interviews on the table. And let's say again, 50% of them bring you to a second round interview, which means 12 or 13 of them bring you to a second round interview. And then from that, you get half of them that give you a job offer. That's 6 or 7 job offers on the table versus 1 or 2, right? Almost 6x the number of opportunity you have to actually pick that perfect job offer that you have on the table by doing 100 decent applications versus 10 great applications. So that's the difference in volume. And now when it comes to follow-up, you should be following up with any and all applications you submit, right? If you're not following up with applications, if you're not following up after interviews, you're leaving money on the table, You're not giving yourself the opportunity. Business owners are busy. They're not always checking their email. They're not always keeping to the top of the mind. Oh, well, yeah, that great guy, Jack, that I interviewed, I want to bring him onto my team, right? They're going to forget. They're going to they have a million things on their mind that they're thinking of other than you, even if you're a great candidate to bring into their company. So if you're following up, you're going to give yourself a much higher chance of being top of mind for the business owner and therefore them actually hiring you onto their team. So food for thought, something to consider. Follow up. My strategy for this is 1, 3, 3, and then weekly. So what I mean by that is 1 is like same day, right? 1 day from the application, same day of the application, submit your first follow up, whether it's an email, an Instagram message, a LinkedIn message, a WhatsApp message, whatever it is. If it's all of those, great, even better. But follow up same day, whether it's the same day you submit your application or it's the same day that you interview with the company. You need to submit a follow-up of some kind. Then 3 days after that you submit another one, 3 days after that you submit another one, and from there it should just be weekly. I recommend following up until you hear something back, right? You're better off hearing, hey, please stop following up with me, I don't want to bring you onto my team, than not hearing anything at all and just figuring that it's gone, right? Because maybe it's not, and the only reason that you're not getting the offer letter from the business is just because you didn't follow up with them, right? Follow up is a key in sales itself, in being a good sales rep. So if you can't demonstrate you have that skill when you're actually trying to get the job, how on earth could a business possibly expect that you're going to show that skill and have that skill when it comes to actually closing? When they're spending money on leads, spending money making content, spending time bringing leads into the business, if you can't follow up with those leads, they don't want you on their sales team. And if you don't show them that you can follow up in that application process, they don't know that you're a great sales rep who has that great skill, right? So something to consider there, the follow-up and obviously the volume of applications that you're sending out. First and foremost, most important thing, maybe second to framing experience that we'll get into here in a second, but customization and effort, right? What I mean by this is you need to actually put effort into these applications you're submitting, right? If you're not taking time to individualize each application and make it specific to the business, right, which we'll talk about in framing experience, but if you're not making it specific to each company that you're applying to, you're not giving, firstly, yourself the best possibility to demonstrate why you're the perfect fit for a company. But also, you're not giving the business the opportunity to see why you're the perfect fit for the company, right? If you don't customize, if you don't make a specific Loom video, if you don't understand what that is, it's the video that I'm recording now, obviously uploading it to YouTube, but it's just a software you record videos. Most applications in this high ticket space will ask you for a Loom video. If you're not recording specific Loom videos every time you apply somewhere, it'll only take you 5 or 10 minutes, right? Maybe it'll take you a little while to get it initially to understand, how you should frame them and things like that. I'll probably make a video on how to make Loom videos, but I'll make a Loom video on how to make Loom videos. No, but so you need to create specific Loom videos for each company you apply to. If you're not doing that, you're leaving money on the table. You're leaving opportunity on the table. And then the second thing here is when it comes down to effort, take the time to do some research. Spend 5 or 10 minutes researching a company, understanding their ethos, understanding what they care about, understanding how they help people, who they help, what they do when they help people, the results they get. If you understand all of this stuff, and you demonstrate just a couple of little instances of this research you did in your application or in your Loom video to the business, you're going to stand out above and beyond everybody else, because people won't do this. People are lazy, right? And what I said at the start, this is for people who are ready to put the work in, not for lazy people. Lazy people won't do this, and therefore they won't succeed and they won't land the best jobs in the space. The people who do that extra effort, who take that time to do the research, are the people who land those great jobs and crush in the space and make $10, $15, $20, $25, $30,000 a month, right? So that's that. Make sure you're doing some research and showing it in your applications, in your interviews with these businesses, and make sure you're customizing each application to each business. Don't film a general Loom you send to everyone. It won't work out. I've seen so many people do that. It doesn't work out because you don't give yourself the opportunity to, in that Loom video or in that application, answer the question specific to or provide the information specific to the business, right? So excuse me. That's what customization and effort is referring to. Now, framing and experience, right? My personal belief is that everyone has something. I don't care if you're sitting there telling me, Jackson, I've got no experience. I've never done anything before. You have done something. You have some experience, right? Whether it's retail and food service, whether you spent 2 weeks on a crappy offer, right, and you didn't close any deals, and the business sucked and they didn't have any systems. Whether it was that you had an alternate role, not a sales role, in a different company that is a high ticket industry, whatever it is, you have some kind of experience. I'm going to use these three as examples because these were specific examples that came up on trainings I did recently, to show you how you can frame some of this experience into high ticket sales experience, right? Experience that you can actually talk about in interviews and in applications to show a business that you do actually have experience, even if you feel like you don't, right? So let's say you've worked in retail or food service or something like that, right? Your job is customer facing. Every day you're probably having hundreds, if not thousands, of direct face-to-face customer interactions with individual people, with new buyers, with new customers that are important to the business to make sales, to close deals, because if you don't give that person a great experience, they're not going to buy from you, right? So your job has been having hundreds of interactions every single day with customers to make them happy and therefore make them buy, right? You're not selling, you're not closing, you're not setting, you're not doing these specific sales things. But what you can do in your Loom videos or your application is say, I spent the last 3 years working in customer service. I typically have about 130 customer interactions every day. So over the last 3 months, I've had X amount of tens of thousands of customer interactions. I don't know what the maths works out to, but right, that's what you want to talk about in this, because then they're going to say, holy shit, this person's had thousands of interactions, sales calls, sales interactions before. That's someone I want on my team, someone who can do high volume, who loves to work hard, who's happy and customer facing, right? So that's one thing. Let's say you spent 2 weeks on a crap offer, right? Let's say you're 18 or you're 17 years old. You don't have any work experience. You don't have any life experience, right? You're still in high school. You're just coming out of high school, whatever it is. And this is your first time in a job, right? Is starting in high ticket sales, getting started in this industry. Let's say you spent 2 weeks on a crappy offer, right? You found in a Facebook group or whatever else you found somewhere. Please, guys, don't go to Facebook groups. They just suck. You're getting scammed basically every time. So stay away from the Facebook groups ideally. But let's say you got on a crap offer that had no systems, that were basically just pimping you out to try to make a little bit of money off you. Instead of saying I have no experience, right? I spent actually 2 weeks on an offer that really didn't have the systems or processes in place for me to succeed there. Though, I was able to have a couple of hundred interactions with different clients. I was dialing leads every day. I was smashing my KPIs. Like I was told to dial 50 leads a day. I was actually dialing 100 or 150 a day because I really wanted to work hard. The business just didn't have the systems or the lead quality in place for me to actually succeed even with that volume I was doing. So that's why I'm looking for a new offer. I got a little bit of experience there. I know what it's like to hustle and work hard and do all of these dials. And that's why I know I could crush it for you, because I know you've got these systems and processes in place. And I know once I have those in a business, I'm going to be able to do really, really well, right? That's the conversation you want to have. That's the discussion you want to make, because that's what's going to allow the business to be like, oh, this is a guy who works hard. This is someone who's just been dealt bad cards, who just had a bad offer. He's not someone with no experience. He's someone with a little bit of experience, and we can take that and we can turn that into an absolute killer and a savage on our team, right? Because we do have these things that he was just missing on that past offer, right? That's the way you could frame something like that. Let's say you had an alternate role in a high ticket industry. So the example here that I was speaking with a client about was he'd spent, I don't know how long it was, maybe 5 or 6 months in roofing, right? In the actual construction part of roofing. So he wasn't closing deals, he wasn't a roofing salesman, but he was working in the industry. Part of his job, again, like the retail and food service, was customer facing. His job was to make sure the roof was done properly, to manage the team and make sure the team was doing everything right, to make sure the customer was happy with the finished product and the job. And roofing, if you don't know, is a very high ticket industry, right? Roofs are like $8,000 to $20,000+ each. And he'd been working for months, right? Maybe like a roof every couple of days, which means over the period of time that he was there, he'd worked on hundreds of thousands of dollars worth in roofs, in high ticket products, in sales, and the customers who are paying these amounts, maybe not out of pocket through insurance or whatever, but still high ticket purchases they were making to buy these roofs. And it was his job to make sure the customer was happy. So over the last 5 months, I've actually spent time in the roofing industry. I was in a customer facing position where I was making sure that the clients who are spending 5 to 20 and upwards of that thousands of dollars per purchase. I was making sure that they were super happy that our team was doing the correct job. So I didn't close any of those deals, but I worked as a part of that deal in the pipeline with the clients directly to make sure that they were happy. And over that time, the pipeline I worked on was about $500,000 to $1 million. And that's a number that looks enticing to businesses, that looks interesting. He's someone who's, again, had a bunch of customer interactions, high ticket customer interactions as well. And therefore, maybe he does have a little bit of experience that we want to bring him on, right? It's not zero experience. Just because you haven't sold anything or you haven't been in a high ticket sales position before, you have something. And if you've been in sales outside of high ticket sales, you just use that, right? If you've been in tech sales, SaaS sales, door-to-door sales, pest control, I don't know, whatever else, right? If you've been in sales, you've been in sales. You've sold stuff before. So that's the experience that you should talk about and use. And you can frame whatever it is into sales gold. Doesn't matter if it's not sales experience or not. Now, this part is probably one of the most important things, in my opinion, right? Businesses only care about one thing. There's honestly just one thing that matters to a business, from my understanding and experience, that they actually care about when they're hiring sales reps. They want to make sure that you simply are the best fit for the role, right? Which comes down to three potential things, right? You can use all three of these things. You can use one of these things. You can use two of these things, whatever you want. But if you can demonstrate one of these things at least, you can show and put yourself in a position to be the best possible fit for a role, right? And that is either work and business experience, right? Genuine industry experience and knowledge and understanding, whether it's personal experience or third-party experience, meaning whether you did it yourself or you saw someone else do it, a close family member, a friend, whatever else, right? You either have the experience of the industry itself and you've worked in it before, or you've seen someone else do it, and therefore you understand the struggles, you understand the issues, you understand the pain points, and you can bring that out of a prospect in a sales conversation, right? The next thing is life experience. Ties very similarly, right? It's just all under actual experience, but this is not work related, right? So this is personal experience of yourself or of a third party again. So let's say you're applying to work with a fitness company. You can talk about your personal fitness journey, right? If you're applying to work in a fitness company that isn't something related to you, right? For me, for example, if I was applying to work with a fitness company that targeted specifically middle-aged women, I'm a young 20 guy in my 20s, right? I'm not a middle-aged woman. I don't know the pain that they're going through. I haven't personally experienced it, but I've seen my mom struggle with that. I've seen the issues that family members have dealt with in terms of fitness and health, or that my friends' parents have struggled with, or whatever it might be. I have a third party experience that I can relate to this offer in terms of life experience, right? Not business/work experience. So that's what I'm talking about there. And then the third thing is team/culture. So I'll talk about this a little bit down here, but in reality, you can research a business, understand the culture of that company based on content you've seen from that business, based on stuff they put in their hiring posts or in their hiring page in the VSL that's a part of their hiring page, whatever it might be. And you can understand what they're looking for, what their culture looks like, and therefore the kind of person that thrives in it. And if you're that kind of person, if they talk about a really competitive, leadership-driven environment where they want people who are hungry savages that want to come in and want to absolutely crush it and want to be top of the leaderboards every single week, and that's you're a super competitive, driven person that you want to be first all the time, you can talk about that as well in your applications and in your interviews, is the fact that I saw that you guys are looking for really hungry savages and your current team is super competitive. That's who I am. I've been an athlete all my life, or I've competed in spelling bees all my life, or whatever it is. I'm super competitive and driven. I always want to be number one. So I know I'd crush it in the team culture that you guys have cultivated here, because that's exactly the type of culture that I thrive in personally, right? That's the third and final thing that you can relate to, which, like I said, this is the one thing businesses care about. Are you the match? Are you the fit for this offer? And that comes down to two things. Can you fit with the prospect, which comes from this work, business, or life experience, right? Do you have experience that makes you a fit with the prospect? Can you connect with them? Can you understand their pain? Can you bring that out in sales conversations? Or can you connect, can you connect with the team culture, with our internal environment? So if you can't connect with either of these things, it's probably not a good fit for you. And that's where we're going to get into offer fit here, right? So this personally, that like what I'm saying here is just to save you the headache. If you don't match these things, don't apply to a business, to be honest, because you're just going to waste your time. Humans can only be fake and put on a persona for so long. I believe like statistically or psychologically, it's around 3 months that you can like put on a facade and pretend to be someone else before you kind of just crumble. And therefore, if you are not able to be yourself and you're not able to be personal to who you are, and you have to pretend to be someone that you're not to fit in a company, to fit in a culture, to have the sales conversations with the prospects, then likely it's not going to be a good long-term fit for you. You're just not going to enjoy it. You're going to have to put on a facade every single day, and it's going to feel like getting out of bed and putting on clown makeup every morning when you wake up, right? Because you're not being you. So that's just one thing to consider, is make sure that you're a personal or a fit, at least in some capacity, for the business you're applying to. And there's another thing that I recommend you do to understand this a little bit better in terms of especially the team culture. Like, you'll understand based on what the business is selling and who they're selling it to, whether you're an experienced fit, right? Whether you have personal or work experience that relates to who you're selling to and what you're selling with them. But to understand the team culture, you can research the long form content of the founder or founders of the business, of the sales manager of the business, whatever it is. Long form content, podcasts, their Instagram stories. These are going to be good tells of the personality behind this team, right? Of the founder's personality, of the manager's personalities, whoever. If you research this content, you're going to understand, do I match this? Do I mesh with this or not? And if you don't, it's probably not going to be the best fit. If you don't mesh with the team culture, but you really have great experience that will allow you to crush it, you can still apply, because maybe you won't love the team meetings and the morning meetings and interacting with the team, but you'll love the actual work, and that's the most important part. So just something to consider there. And then also the hiring pages, which I mentioned here, like the VSL that's a part of their hiring page or whatever for a business. That information is that's like them directly giving you the information. We want someone who has XYZ attributes and soft skills, right? We want these things from someone. And if you don't match that, then maybe it doesn't make the most sense to apply, but that's up to you and your own interpretation. So if you put all 4 of these things together, the offer fit, framing your experience, customization and effort, volume and follow-up, you are in the money. You're going to be able to land a role. I almost guarantee you, if you just put these 4 things together, you're going to land a role. It's almost inevitable. Now, if you want my help moving forwards, I'll be uploading more videos here on this YouTube channel, so you can watch more of those videos if they're out already, or subscribe if for when they are coming out. You can also join my school. In the description, I have hundreds of opportunities to actually land these roles and apply to these roles. So if you're struggling to find those opportunities, that's where I provide all of those opportunities there, and work with people directly to help them actually land these opportunities. And whether you join the school or not, when you land a role, send me a DM on Instagram down below, because I would love to hear it and celebrate your success with you.